When we look at the image that I have displayed, I request us to tell us simply what you mean by gaseous, what you understand by.
I'm seeing Adam, I can see a cell. Oxygen entering, carbon dioxide being excreted.
Okay. That's what one of our colleagues has to say. Anyone else with a different idea? Anyone else with any other suggestion?
Madam?
Pardon?
Madam?
I have allowed you to unmute yourselves. So I'll be the person whose name I say is the one who unmutes so that we do not have many people speaking at a time. So can we have Mercy's iPhone unmute? Can we have whoever is using RKF65I unmute?
Madam, as for me? Madam?
Yes, please.
Yes, I was saying, I see a cell showing the inhaling or exchange of oxygen being taken in as carbon dioxide is being excreted.
Okay, that is right. So what gaseous exchange simply is, it is a process by which respiratory gases, here in this case, the respiratory gases or the respiratory gases that we have are oxygen and carbon dioxide. So they are exchanged between the external media and the body cells. Is that okay?
Yes.
So another name we can give gaseous exchange is external respiration because this is happening with the body and the exterior of the body. We must note, I'm going to ask you a simple question. By what process does gaseous exchange occur, or how is it possible? Anyone with an idea? Yes, please, Marian.
Madam?
Okay, may we have Eva since Marian seems to have failed to unmute?
Teacher,
Yes, please.
I think gaseous exchange happens by diffusion.
Okay. So that's a very key point that as we study gaseous exchange, we should know that it occurs by diffusion. Okay? Now, why do you think organisms need gaseous exchange? For what reason should gaseous exchange occur? Any ideas?
I think it enables us to breathe since we take in oxygen and we release carbon dioxide.
Breathing is what we are calling the exchange of gases. Because when we breathe in, we take in oxygen, and when we breathe out, we put out oxygen. But why is that necessary? Yes, Happy.
Madam, the reason why organisms in gaseous exchange, in gaseous exchange, we see that organisms happen to, like animals, take oxygen, which is used to produce energy in the process of digestion.
Okay, that's true. Do we have anyone who knows why probably the plants need gaseous exchange? If we are to talk about green plants specifically. Jeremy?
Plants need gaseous exchange to enable them make their food through the process of photosynthesis.
So what do they get from gaseous exchange that enables them to make their food through photosynthesis?
They get carbon dioxide.
That's very good. So we are going to conclude by saying that the reason as to why organisms need gaseous exchange is one, it enables them to get oxygen for respiration. This also applies to the plants, okay? Then remember when we respire the oxygen, we breathe out carbon dioxide because it has now been produced. So we need to be able to eliminate that waste. Then the green plants in particular require gaseous exchange so that they can get carbon dioxide photosynthesis. Are we together?
Yes.
Do we have any questions on that? Okay, so allow me to continue to the next part. So by the end of this lesson, now that we've understood what gaseous exchange is, and we now have an idea what gaseous exchange is. So by the end of this lesson, you should be able to explain the need for gaseous exchange systems in multicellular organisms, okay? So we shall start by giving the difference between multicellular organisms in terms of surface area to volume ratio. But before we do that, can someone tell us what unicellular organisms are? Joyous? Joyous?
Unicellular organisms are organisms that are made up of only one cell and that cell carries out all functions needed by that organism.
Correct.
Organism
Do we know the examples of unicellular organisms that we have? Anyone with an idea?
Bacteria and yeast.
True. Okay. So what are the multicellular organisms? Which ones are these ones? May we have Loberenga?
Yes, teacher. Multicellular organisms are organisms with two or more cells.
With two or more cells. Okay. Can we have Ruthie tell us some examples of the multicellular organisms we have?
You have plants.
Teacher,
Homo sapiens.
Parisian animals.
even man, animals, plants, insects, so forth.
Okay, so those are the multicellular organisms that we have. And for this particular lesson, or in gaseous exchange, we're mainly going to focus on human beings as our multicellular organisms. Okay? I've got
Yes.
requests. We'll give you time to copy, so I will let you copy that as we move on. Okay, someone has requested that we go back a slide. Those annotated in the slides, kindly please don't. I would not like to restrict you like your children, okay? Okay, so are we all up to date with where we are? Can I continue?
Yes.
Are we all up to date with where we are? And can I continue, or are we still catching up?
We're up to date.
Okay. So for us to be able to compare unicellular and multicellular organisms, we're going to use surface area to volume ratio. Have we learned how to find surface area in mathematics?
Yes, teacher.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so that's good. So for us to be able to easily understand this concept, we are going to use the surface area of a cube. Okay? So that is our cube, and I would like any volunteer to tell us how you would find the surface area of a cube. Eva?
Madam, according to
Yes,
me,
please.
I will define the surface area of the cube. I will use volume to length times width times height.
Eva, kindly please repeat your answer.
Madam, I think it's length.
According to me, madam,
Yes. Eva, we are waiting for you.
Madam,
Okay, I think we failed to get Trevor.
excuse me, madam.
Yes, please.
According to me, I
Mhm.
think we can get the area of this tube when we get all shapes from it, and we find the area of each shape in it, and then after
Okay.
we add the area.
Okay. That is very correct. Unfortunately, I didn't get your name. So, do we know the different shapes that make up a cube? Sanyu, would you like to tell us the shapes that make up a cube?
A cube is made of squares. A cube is made of squares, while a cuboid is made of rectangular
Okay.
sides.
So, if a cube is made of, if you're
Yes.
unmuted, kindly please mute. I would not like to regulate you. Unmuting. So, if a cube is made of squares, how many squares make a cube? Jasmine?
Madam,
Pardon?
afternoon. So since a cube, we can use a formula of 6s squared to find the surface area. Thank you.
Okay, so do we all agree with Jasmine?
Yes, we all agree.
Excuse me, madam.
Yes, please.
I think the formula that is supposed to be used is side squared times 6 to find the surface
Yes.
area for a cube.
So side squared times 6 is the same as 6s squared. Reason being that when you have side squared times 6, you still get 6s squared. Are we together, Sam?
Yes.
Excuse me.
Yes, please.
For me, I was suggesting that the formula is 2 S, power 6.
Why would you suggest so?
Why would I suggest so? Yeah, because
Yes.
the sides of a square are all equal. Instead of
True.
like saying S times S, so I would put these two behind, and this S represents all other surfaces, and power 6 because the tube has 60 faces.
Okay, so do we have anyone who would like to explain to our dear colleague why we are saying that the surface area is 6s squared? Yes, Teddy? Sanyu, would you like to explain that?
May I try?
Judy? Okay, Sam, you can try.
For me, the reason why I said that we have to use 6s squared is because since we're getting the surface area, the area which is covered by the surface of the tube, it has 6 faces. So one face, to get the area of one face is 8 squared. So to get the surface area of the whole tube, we will have to multiply the area of one face times 6, since there are 6 faces. So that's why the formula for surface area of a tube is 6s squared.
Okay, so Marion, are you with us? Or should we
Yes,
get someone
madam.
else to? You
Yes,
now
madam.
understand why we're saying that the surface area is 6s squared, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you'll allow me to continue to the volume of a cube. Do we have any suggestions as to what it may be?
I suggest that the
Sanyu,
volume for a cube is S cubed.
Doreen,
I think the volume equals to length times width times height.
Excuse me, teacher. Excuse me, teacher. Excuse me.
Please, members, unmute your microphones.
And wait for it to come back.
Madam, we are not hearing you at all.
Maka.
Excuse me, madam. What's going on?
And guys, mute your microphone.
Guys, teacher is out because of the network. Let's give her time to come back.
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Unmute your microphones, man.
Why?
I'm so sorry about that.
It's okay.
Okay, so we'll be continuing off from where we left off. The last question I asked, I think, was how do we find the volume of a cube? Happy, do you want to answer? Happy?
Madam, I will
Yes, please.
suggest is if okay, we can find the volume saying it's S3 cubed.
Pardon? Happy? Those are not hitting the screen, please stop. Teddy, would you like to tell us how we would find the volume of a cube? Reader?
Madam, I think how to find the volume of a cube is length times width times height.
Okay, that is how you find both the length of a cube and a cuboid. So in this case, our length is equal to the width, which is also equal to the height, which in this case we call side. So can we have someone tell us how we can find the volume of a cube? Jordan?
We find the volume of a cube by saying that side cubed, S cubed.
That's true. Thank you so much, Jordan. Now that we know how to find both the surface area and the volume, may I have a suggestion on how we are going to find the surface area to volume ratio? Sanyu?
I think we're going to divide the surface area by volume, and that will be eh, 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 and I think that will be
Okay, it seems Sanyu is disturbed by the network. Can we have Judith try?
Teacher, I think to find the surface area to volume ratio, we will divide surface area by volume, that surface area out of volume, and that will give us the ratio. I can't really divide this one, but yeah, that's the method.
Okay, so do we all agree with what Judith has said? Okay, so allow me to continue on to our next part. To find the surface area to volume ratio, we shall divide the surface area by the volume. So for this part, I'm going to assign you to calculate the surface area to volume ratio of cubes A and B. I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to work out both cubes. And then after that, we shall discuss the different answers you've got. If you finish before the time elapses, feel free to inform me. Okay? Are we done with the work? I see a few hands up. Doreen? Doreen?
My surface area for A is 6 centimeters squared.
Mm-hmm.
And then my volume is 1 centimeters cube.
Okay.
And then my ratio is 6.1.
6.16 to 1.
Yes, 6 to 1.
Okay, so I'm going to first receive only the answers you have for cube A. Then we shall compare them and give you the final feedback. Then we shall do cube B. Is that okay? Melissa, would you like to share your answers? Melissa?
Yes, cube A. When you cube 1, you get 1 centimeter cubed. That's the volume. Then the surface area, it's 6 times 1, which is 6 centimeters squared. And the surface area to volume ratio is 6 to 1, which can also be 6.
Okay, so Melissa, since we said it's a ratio, I will suggest that you don't make it 6 alone. That is not a ratio. A ratio is stated as 6 to 1. Okay?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to have our last response from Teddy. Teddy, would you like to share your answers? Teddy?
Hmm? 1 centimeter squared cubed to cube A. To cube B, it is 6 centimeters cubed. and the ratio is 6:1.
Okay. I would like to thank Doreen, Melissa, and Teddy for those wonderful answers. So we are going to first continue, and since they have given us the correct answers, I believe I'm going to assume that we are all okay with that. If anyone has a question, please feel free to pass it on. So I'll be taking on answers for Cube B. Kimberly?
For cube B, I have my surface area as 24. Then I have my volume as 8 centimeters cubed.
Okay.
And when I put them in a ratio, that's 24 to 8. But I don't know if it would be okay to simplify them.
Kimberly, may you please simplify the ratio? In biology, most of the ratios for surface area to volume ratio are preferred with at least one of them being a 1.
Oh,
So we
all right.
normally have ratios like 6:1, 5:1, 2:1. Okay?
All right. If it's simplified, it's 3:1.
Okay. Marcelina, would you like to give your input? Kimberly, thank you so much. Marcelina?
Madam, on the surface area, I've got 48. Then the volume, I've got 8. Then the surface area to volume ratio, I've got 6.
Marcelina, I'm going to kindly request you to, how did you work out your surface area? Marcelina?
My surface area, I say 6 into brackets, side times side times side. Then I multiplied the sides. Then I got 8. Then I multiplied 6 times 8.
Okay. So, Irina, would you like to correct where Marcelina might have gone wrong in finding her surface area? Irina? Okay. I'm going to ask Doreen,
Yes,
would you like?
madam, I've realized my mistake.
And what was the mistake?
I multiplied side 3 times when I was supposed to multiply it 2 times.
Okay, that's very good.
Madam.
So, I think we shall have our last input from Irina.
Madam, according
Yes,
to me,
please.
I got the volume as 8 cubic centimeters, and then the surface area as 24 square centimeters, and then my surface area to volume ratio was 3:1.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, all our colleagues who have been sampled to answer this part got it correct. So you're going to allow me to continue to the next part, okay? So, from what the activity we have just done, which cube do you think is a unicellular organism? And which one do you think is a multicellular organism? Olive?
Thank you, madam. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I think tube A is an unicellular organism and tube B is a multicellular organism.
Okay.
Then
Jordan, do
I
you have
have
a...
a question.
Pardon?
I'm requesting that if possible you display the other slide, the previous slide. There's something that I want just for 5 seconds.
Okay. Jordan,
Thank you.
what is your input on which cube is a unicellular organism and which one is multicellular? Jordan? Jordan? Okay. I think Frida?
Madam, I think tube A is unicellular and tube B is multicellular.
Which is very correct. So I'm going to continue back to where we were. And our next question is therefore, so which organisms in this case therefore have a larger surface area to volume ratio? Irina?
According to me, cube A has a larger surface area to volume ratio.
And which organisms have we said are represented by cube A?
The unicellular organisms.
Okay. So in this case, we are saying that the unicellular organisms have a larger surface area to volume ratio. Are we all at par at that moment?
Yes, teacher.
So there are a few things that we must note. We should know that the larger the surface area, the faster the rate of gaseous exchange. We must not forget that we are studying gaseous exchange. So the reason why we went through this assignment is to be able to understand the relationship between the surface area and gaseous exchange. Are we together? Are we together?
Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
teacher.
So we must also note that the larger the surface area to volume ratio, also the faster the rate of gaseous exchange. Do we have any question at that point? Are the hands up for questions or were they up earlier? Okay, Hanifa has said I explain. Hanifa, when an object has a large surface area, that simply means that the surface of it that is coming into contact with the outside is very big. Therefore, because diffusion occurs across a surface, okay? So that if the area of this surface is small, the diffusion will be slow. It won't have enough space to for the diffusion of the materials to occur. In this case, the gases won't have enough space for them to diffuse faster. Okay. Then for the larger the surface area to volume ratio, the faster the rate of diffusion. or the more efficient the rate of diffusion, the better the rate of gaseous exchange, okay? So for this one, you must note that in your body is of a large organism. That is what we consider it to be, okay? So if you have a large surface area to volume ratio, imagine you are breathing through your skin. You would not be able to get the gases to the whole of your body because there are parts of your body that do not come into contact with the outside, with the external environment. Are we together? Ruth, feel free to ask your question.
Yeah, I'm just on the comment.
Ruth? Okay, Ruth, may you please type your question in the chat kindly because it seems your network has refused. Annabelle, do you have a question?
My question is, for example, maybe I don't know if I'm using a wrong example, but
Exactly.
when we have to look at our lungs, they are organs.
True.
And like we said, organs are made up of many tissues, and tissues made out of many cells. So is that a way of saying, is that a way of coordinating that a lung is a multicellular organism?
No, when we talk about a multicellular organism, we are talking about the whole structure. In this case, you're talking about the entire human being, not just the lung. Is that okay?
Oh.
Yes. So when we say a multicellular organism, we are talking about things like the whole animal, the whole plant, and then the unicellular organisms, we are going to talk about the amoeba, the bacteria. Is that okay?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Mugisa, do you have a question? Mugisa?
Yes, madam. My question is,
Mm-hmm.
here they are saying on note, they are saying that the larger the surface area, the faster the rate of gaseous exchange. So for me, I'm confused because I know that the larger organisms, they have a large surface area, but they normally say that the smaller organisms, their rate of gaseous exchange is faster than the big organisms. So according to what I know that the small organisms, they have the small area, the small surface area, and the big organisms or the large organisms, they have a larger surface area. So I'm confused there.
What you've said is very true, okay? So now, the larger the surface area, the greater the rate of gaseous exchange. This is because more space is available for the gases to diffuse. Now, if we look at the multicellular organisms, they have got different surfaces that now provide a larger surface area so that gaseous exchange occurs faster. Do we understand?
Yes, I understand.
Yes. That is the reason why we say the larger the surface area, the faster the rate of gaseous exchange. If we had a small lung with small surface area and a big lung with a bigger surface area, the one with a bigger lung has a faster rate of gaseous exchange. Okay?
Yes, but now a confusion comes here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying that the larger the surface area to volume ratio, the faster the rate of gaseous exchange. Now I have seen that if an animal has a big lung, its gaseous exchange, the rate of gaseous exchange will be faster. But now if you come to the surface area to volume ratio, you find that the small organisms have a larger surface area to volume ratio, while large organisms have a small surface area to volume ratio. So now I'm confused also there.
Okay, now allow me to answer that one like this. The larger the surface area to volume ratio, the faster the rate of gaseous exchange. That's what we have said, right?
Yes.
Now, if you looked at our cube A, it had a surface area to volume ratio of 6:1, which is the same as it having a surface area to volume ratio of, let me say, 6. That's how big its surface area to volume ratio is. Then our cube B had 3:1, which is the same as me saying 3. So for it, it's smaller than cube A, okay? Now,
Yes.
as the different organisms increase in size, their surface area tends to increase.
Yes, I'm hearing.
Are we together? As the different
Yes.
organisms increase, the surface area tends to increase. Okay, so sorry about that. As the organisms increase in size, the surface area tends to decrease, or we can say that the volume increases more than the surface area. Does that make sense?
Teacher, first repeat.
So we say the larger the surface area, the faster the rate of gaseous exchange. As the organisms increase in size, the volume tends to increase. No, sorry, the surface area tends to increase slower than the volume. Do I have a question? Jeremy?
Yeah, I'm
Jeremy?
asking. I was asking. I didn't get you on the point why you said that cube A is unicellular and cube B is multicellular.
Okay. So for unicellular organisms, they tend to have a larger surface area to volume ratio than multicellular organisms. Okay? Jeremy?
Yes. Yes, I'm
And
getting
for
it.
this, if you look at this question, our cube A had a surface area to volume ratio of 6:1, which was bigger than that of cube B.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes, I've got it.
Are all the hands up still having questions, or have we all figured it out? The person using Technopop 5, please.
Madam, my
Yes,
question
please.
is, why is it that it means that unicellular organisms, it means that unicellular organisms, their rate of gaseous exchange is higher?
Now, if we were all using our skin surfaces or our surface area without having any specialized parts, your question is more that unicellular organisms just have a higher gaseous exchange than multicellular. Okay?
I beg your pardon, madam.
Unicellular organisms have a faster rate of gaseous exchange than the multicellular organisms.
Okay. Thank you,
Whitney,
madam.
I'm going to take 2 more questions. Whitney? Zuriel? Ruthie? Okay, so I'm going to continue to the next part. Okay, what is your question?
Madam, you
Yes,
said
please.
that the larger the surface area, sorry, the larger the volume ratio, the lower the surface area, but the surface area is larger than the volume.
Pardon?
Say the larger the volume, the lower the surface area, but here the surface area is larger than the volume ratio.
Okay, no, I said that the
Yes.
volume increases faster than the surface area as an organism becomes bigger.
Okay.
Yes. Frida, we shall have your question as the last one and then we continue.
Madam,
Yes, please.
is it a must that unicellular organisms have a faster rate of gaseous exchange than multicellular organisms?
Is it?
Is it a must that unicellular organisms have a faster rate of gaseous exchange than multicellular organisms?
Yes, it is. Because, for example, you look at your skin, it's made up of so many cells. There is an organism that is just that one cell. Okay?
Okay.
Yes. So allow me to continue so that we can at least continue with our coverage. So this is a question for you to think about. How does a large surface area to volume ratio advantage the small organism, or how does it help it? Frida? Frida?
I think it increases the rate of gaseous exchange.
Correct. Jasmine, do you have anything to add on? Jasmine?
The host, okay. I think as it helps it in its gaseous exchange, mostly like in the respiration part, it enables this organism to generate more energy compared to a multicellular organism.
True. Irina?
Madam, according to
Yes.
me, maybe it's not part of the topic necessary, but these smaller organisms having a larger surface area to volume ratio. It can also make circulation faster or easier in their bodies.
It can also make? Irina, pardon on your answer, please.
Can also make the process of circulation in their bodies easy.
Okay. Husna, do you have something to add on? Hasna? Okay, let's have Mugisa.
Okay. The large surface area to volume ratio, it increases the rate of gaseous exchange in the small organisms.
All your answers are very correct. Okay.
Thank you.
But we're going to summarize them into one answer, which is it increases the rate of diffusion. Now, this is bringing us back to the topic of gaseous exchange. Okay. So when the rate of diffusion increases, we have oxygen supply increasing. Also, the rate of waste elimination, which in the case of our bodies is carbon dioxide, increases. Are we together?
Yes.
Okay. Those using the chat, I'm very sorry, but I tend to forget that you're still there, but I will keep to follow up. So from what we've so far discussed, we must note that in such organisms, the organisms that we're talking about in this case are the small organisms. Gaseous exchange takes place over the whole body surface, okay? For example, if you look at the amoeba that we had on the very first slide, gaseous exchange is taking place all over its surface. This is because they have a small body volume, so diffusion alone is enough to transport oxygen and carbon dioxide into and around their bodies. Is that okay? Do I have any question? Okay. Allow me to continue on to the next part. So from any of you, may I have a few suggestions for what disadvantage, now that we have seen the advantages that the small organisms have, so what disadvantage do the large organisms face due to having a small surface area to volume ratio? Jared?
Teacher, for me, I think that since the larger the surface area to volume ratio, that since it's large, it makes the gaseous exchange faster. But since they have a small surface area to volume ratio, the gaseous exchange rate is not as fast as the one for the unicellular.
So if it is not as fast, what is it?
Slow.
Good. Hasna?
Madam, for me, I think that having a smaller surface area to volume ratio reduces the rate of diffusion. Hence, diffusion alone cannot meet the respiratory demands of the large organisms, just like it was for the unicellular organisms.
Correct. You're very correct. Bridget in the chat has said there is slow waste elimination from their bodies, which is also correct. Julie?
Teacher, I think there is reduced oxygen supply also.
Okay.
There is a struggle with obtaining oxygen and nutrients fast enough to maintain metabolic activity, while there's also a struggle in expelling waste products fast enough.
Okay, that's very correct. So we are going to continue. As we have discussed, or as our friends have told us, we are having a very low rate of diffusion. Then one of the disadvantages of that's the general answer. And to relate it more to our topic, we shall break it down into the organisms have limited oxygen supply